What's going on? It's your boy Broadway Joel. I'm over here on 148 and Broadway, and I'm asking the people, will Trump get a second term? Check it out. All right, so first, what's your name and where you're from?
Jeff from Massachusetts originally.
All right. So the question I'm asking is, do you think Donald Trump will get a second term?
I mean, I didn't think he'd get a first term, so it's tough to predict, but he seems to have a lot of people that like him no matter what he does, so I don't know. I'm not super optimistic.
So you think so? Yes?
I don't know. It's hard to predict, I guess. I guess I don't have the tools. I don't really know how you determine that kind of thing.
You need to kind of know who's running against him and stuff like that.
Yeah, who's running against him, and I guess how they spin he's got 2 more years. I mean, depending on what happens with the economy, it feels like they can always say the economy is doing well, and people think that means, the country's doing well, even if wages are going down. So, I don't know. It's really, people as a group are so different than people as individuals.
When he says "Make America Great Again," what do you think he means?
Well, it's like I think he's appealing to nostalgia that a lot of people have. A lot of, white Americans who feel like maybe things are different than they used to be, and people who kind of look back on the past and remember that, people talk about the good old days. I think it's just appealing to that really kind of basic.
So when blacks didn't have rights and women couldn't vote and that kind of stuff?
Even less overt than that, like just sort of like a feeling of like, my parents had good job, like full-time jobs, and
like the auto industry and other kinds of stuff.
Maybe stuff like that. I mean, like the racist stuff is there definitely, but I think it's, for most people, I think it's not so explicit. It's just sort of a feeling that, like, people talk about crime going up, even though crime is at an all-time low.
All-time low, yeah.
But the way things get reported, and I think people get into bubbles too with the media, so I don't know, stuff gets spun, and then I think a lot of people feel like, like local news, most local news, people talk about crime. So I think people start to think about, like, the country's more and more diverse, but the coverage is kind of more fractious, and then people start to look back and be like, when I was a kid, like, we didn't hear about all these wars and stuff. We didn't hear about all this, like, violence going on.
Just because it wasn't reported.
It wasn't reported, and, people have...
And everybody has a video camera on them, so it's like, if something happens right now, in the 80s, it would just happen and nobody would know, but now, if something happens, you can pull out your phone, I can pull out my phone, and I can upload it to YouTube. Everybody has, like, a channel, because, it's a YouTube channel, so you could just upload it or to your Facebook and whatever. And
That's a good point. That's a good point. I think you're right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. All right. So first, what's your name and where you're from?
Abby, and I'm from West Virginia originally.
So a question I'm asking is, do you think Trump will get a second term?
Wow. Do you want a yes or no answer, or do you want, like, more?
Oh, yeah, more. The more, the better. We got time. It's YouTube, no time limits.
I think it is an absolute possibility that he could get a second term. I think we're living in a time when truth and facts are being made to be really relative, and it's hard to see through it, and the media feels much more polarized. I don't know if ever, but it certainly seems polarized now. If you watch Fox News, if you watch CNN, you hear something completely different. And, I think we can't downplay the fact that we have a foreign government interfering with our elections in this country, and they're interfering for a particular outcome. Like, that's who they wanted to win, and they're gonna want him to win again.
And do you think it's a good thing? It sounds like you're saying most likely he is going to get a second term. Do you think it's a good? Oh, possibly. All right. If he does get a second term, do you think it's a good thing, or it's a bad thing, or it's, how do you feel about it?
I think it's terrible.
Why you feel that?
I privilege my humanity and the humanity of other people, and he preaches the opposite of that. He preaches hate, that we're not supposed to love each other, that we're not supposed to talk to each other, that things are as simple as, like, bad, stupid, loser, what kind of message is that for our children? What kind of message is that for people? We can't live that way. We can't come together that way.
What examples of hate you think he's preaching? Like, give me an example, more or less.
I think that he's okay. So the first one that comes to mind is the groups in Charlottesville.
Okay. The white supremacists with the
Yes.
marching tiki torches. Here.
Yes. So his reaction to that, his response to that was, he said that there were great people who
Yeah.
were marching that day.
I remember.
Great people don't hate other people. Great people bring people together.
And didn't somebody like hit somebody with a car or something? He killed like I may be confusing. Yeah, right. So I'm getting it.
Yes, one of the white supremacists who was there protesting ran into a woman and murdered her with his car. And he says there are great people in that group. What do they stand for? What does he stand for? And look at his cabinet. Jeff Sessions said yesterday that he was going to start a religious liberty task force because Christianity is under attack. Under attack.
And I'm not sure if you live in the neighborhood, but there's a real Dominican neighborhood. He said a lot of bad things about Dominican. He's basically said we don't bring anything to we don't bring anything positive to the country or something along those lines. He says that that I'm sure that the immigrants from the Dominican Republic are not bringing anything positive or something along those lines. I don't want to misquote him, but it was something along those lines.
What do I think about that?
No. I was just saying. I was just giving an example for the people.
He's dead wrong.
Yeah. No.
Completely wrong. This country is a country of immigrants. My people are immigrants.
You're from West Virginia, which is interesting that you have this kind of position. Do you normally lean right, but this guy is just not for you? You're more lefty.
I lean in the direction of more justice for people who've been marginalized.
How does that go in your home state when you I don't know if you do express your political feelings, but
I haven't lived there in a long time. I'm queer, and it was not a great place to grow up queer. And I didn't really have a lot in common with the people around me. I have some good friends from there, but I think, I don't know, it's everyone was really similar, and I always felt like an outsider there, and the values just weren't mine.
all right. Well, thank you so much for your time. All right. So first, what's your name? And